From our very first breath, we reach out. Co-regulation is in our nature. We find our cues from the sun and the moon, from each parent and caregiver. We find our great place in this turning planet by turning to one another. Generation to generation, we awaken to the dawn and fall asleep at evening's end. Our life's journey is part of something greater, something simple, something divine. A flame cannot be lit without a spark, a life cannot begin without air, and we cannot begin to find ourselves without love. So may we reach out one to another. May we offer love and nurturing care. May we join together in celebration of the interdependence of all our lives. And in this spirit, the spirit of love, let us worship together once again this morning. Well, these words from Elizabeth Barish Brown. Welcome all who have gathered this morning for our Sunday service. Welcome to those of you gathered in person here at Essex Church. We've got a full house, which is fantastic and logistically challenging. Do make sure you can see a hymn sheet at the various points later in the service when you need to. Welcome to everyone joining us via Zoom from far and wide, and indeed anyone tuning in at a later date via YouTube or the podcast stream. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Jane Blackall and I'm minister with Kensington Unitarians. Our service today is titled Free Love. Every year as Valentine's Day approaches, I'm conscious of the wide range of responses it provokes in us. Some of us are natural romantics and we really go for all this stuff. Some of us are in the sort of coupled relationships which are in the spotlight on this annual celebration of love. Many of us are not, and some of us are a bit cynical and grumpy about the whole thing. Nonetheless, the day presents us with an invitation to reflect on love, what it means for us, how it is expressed in our lives, or how it might be if we're open to it. So this morning I want to explore a more expansive view of love than is typically reflected in all the traditional Valentine's bump and merchandise, all the mainstream romantic imagery that goes along with it, which is not to say we're going to be shy of the romantic. Eros is at the heart of things, but we're going to think about liberating love from some of the constraints that we often place on it. Love can take so many forms. It can be the catalyst for so much transformation and disruption. And for those of us who are so inclined, it can be a powerful way in which we might encounter the divine, or that which is of ultimate worth in life. So we've got plenty to be getting on with in the next hour. But before we go any further, let's do what we always do. Let's light our chalice flame. It's a moment for us to pause, to breathe, to really arrive. Put down anything we don't need to carry for the next hour. It's a simple ritual that connects us with Unitarians and Unitarian universalists the world over, and it reminds us of the proudly progressive religious tradition of which this gathering is part. When the spark of love glows, it melts away wrinkled brows and it draws up smiles. Love strikes us when we are seen and heard. Love ignites in us a glimmering joy when we work together. Love comes in so many forms, infinite and beautiful. Love is not just a feeling, but a practice. It is a way of being. And for many of us, love is our religion. Time to sing. Our first hymn is in your purple book, if you're in the church, number 147, Spirit of Earth, Root, Stone and Tree. If you haven't got a book, do get yourself one from the cupboard at the back. If you're on Zoom, the words will be on screen and you can indeed see those in the room as well. Feel free to stand or sit as you prefer and sing up Spirit of Earth, Root, Stone and Tree. So let's take all our joys and concerns, both spoken and unspoken, into an extended time of prayer now, based on some words by Laura Horton Ludwig. You might want to adjust your position to get more comfortable. You might want to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Perhaps there's a posture that helps you to feel more centered and prayerful. Whatever helps you to get into the right state of body and mind for us to pray together now and be fully present to ourselves, to each other, and to that which lies within us and beyond us. Spirit of life, God of all love, in whom we live and move and have our being. We turn our full attention to you, the light within and without, as we tune into the depths of this life and the greater wisdom to which and through which we are all intimately connected. Be with us now as we allow ourselves to drop into the silence and the stillness at the very center of our being. As people of faith, we seek to live in a spirit of love, a spirit of community, justice, and peace. And yet in so many corners of the world, both far and near, we see exploitation and coercion, divisiveness and hatred. We strive and struggle to respond to the outer world and our own inner dramas in ways that manifest love. At times we may fear that love will not be strong enough. At times we may question whether love really is at the root of all things in this world with so much struggle and discord, so much needless suffering. This is the mystery within which we live and die. These are the questions which haunt our days and nights. And yet, despite everything, we are not quite without hope. Our struggles and our questions testify to our longing for peace and for love. Our very longings are born out of that mystery that we dare to address as Spirit of life and God of all love. In the stillness and the silence of our own hearts, we read the imprint of love, a clue, a talisman, a light within. May it keep hope alive, even through the toughest times, even as we dwell in mystery and not knowing. May it guide us through our days as we seek to live wisely and well. May it help us to be vessels of compassion for one another and for our world. And let us take a few quiet moments now to look inward, to get in touch with what's real, what's going on beneath the surface of our lives this morning. Let us notice what is bubbling up, what might trouble us, what questions or uncertainty we're faced with, what hopes and dreams we nurture. And from that place of realness, silently and inwardly ask for whatever it is that you most need. Ask God or cast it out into the universe, even if you are the only one to hear your prayer. Name what it is that you most need this day. And let us give thanks for all that we already have. Look back on this week and recall all those moments of kindness, comfort, pleasure, or joy. And silently, inwardly, take the time to savor all those gifts and take in the good. And let us turn outwards now, shifting our attention to the world around us, starting with those dear ones closest to our heart and stretching ever outward, spreading all around this planet till we hold all beings in the light of love. Spirit of life, God of all love, as this time of prayer draws to a close, we offer up our joys and our concerns, our hopes and our fears, our beauty and our brokenness, and we call on you for insight, healing and renewal. As we look forward now to the coming week, help us to live well each day and be our best selves, using our unique gifts in the service of love, justice and peace. Amen. Time to sing again now. Our second hymn today is on your hymn sheet. If you can't see a hymn sheet, let's share around or move around so that you can. It's What Wondrous Love. We haven't sung this for a while, so I'll ask George to play it through once in full before we sing. What Wondrous Love.
Good morning. This piece is an adaptation of words by Vanessa Rush Southern in praise of the romantic. Despite the good that Valentine's Day does, lifting us a bit out of the doldrums of winter, she has her critics. Some argue that the romantic ideal to which it pays homage has problems. The argument is that such starry-eyed visions of love leave lovers ill-prepared for the hard work of true, lasting love. Falling in love, so the argument goes, is the fireworks and the flush, a trick of nature engineered to ensure that we pair off and perpetuate the species. In contrast, lasting love is a much different animal. To last, Love must be open-handed, selfless, unflaggingly devoted to the growth and fruition of another. More than a feeling, it is closer to a state of mind. It is a commitment, and therefore much deeper than infatuation. Accordingly, we might indeed want to qualify our annual and seemingly perennial celebration of romantic love. And yet, I think it would be a mistake to dismiss romantic love entirely. The heady words of the romantic, born out of a swirl of emotion, have something worth hearing. They are full of vision and dreams. They aren't just about infatuation or erotic love. They are witness to the fact that something extraordinary walks this world in human form. Something quite divine, cloaked in ordinary garb. For thou art as glorious as this night, says Romeo to his Juliet, as is the winged messenger of heaven. To the wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, as he bestrides the lazy, puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air. It is an incredible thing to see the divine in the ordinary, in another human being. Moreover, it is not trickery or deceptive flush at all. In fact, it is one of the deepest truths there is. In her headlong tumble, the romantic comes to see the divine in each of us, and, as such, that we are all deserving of the wildest and most profound adoration. Believing, as she does, in the grandeur and beauty of the person she has found, I wonder if the romantic is really so unprepared for the realities of love. It may just be that she is the best prepared of all.
Thanks, David. I should say I did ask David if he was qualified to do that reading. Was he a romantic? And he claims to be. We're moving into a time of meditation now, and to take us into the stillness, we're going to hear a poem from M. Jade Kaiser of the Infleshed Collective, titled Love is Queer. I think they're using queer in multiple senses at once, which is a queer thing to do. Infleshed is indeed a queer as in LGBTQ plus collective, but at the same time I think they're using queer to mean strange, boundary crossing, disruptive, countercultural and transformative. It's about opening ourselves up to new possibilities, allowing ourselves to colour outside the lines. That's the sense in which love is queer, I reckon. It's liable to turn our lives upside down if we let it have its way. After the poem, we'll hold a few minutes of shared silence. We'll end with the sound of a bell, and then we're going to hear a lovely song for meditation. So again, let's do what we need to do to get comfortable. Put down anything you don't need to be holding. You might want to make sure your feet are flat on the floor if that helps you to feel grounded. You might want to close your eyes. As I always say, the words, they're just an offering. Feel free to use this time to meditate in your own way. Whatever else you might say about it, love is queer, queerer than queer, which is to say, it flows more freely between and betwixt than even our strangest surmise. Don't be afraid to let it unravel all of your preconceptions. It's okay to grow a flutter at its notions of possibilities yet explored, worlds yet revealed. Go ahead and let it win you over and over again, with all the gestures of affection scattered promiscuously throughout the land and waters, across species and friendships. It wishes to beckon all of us away from the tired romance of hierarchy and domination that knows so little about what it means to be alive, why we are so unsatisfied, or how to tend longings that span generations. Be forewarned, however, Like all that is queer, risk is involved. Abandoned into such arms, you will find yourself at odds with gods and empires. Their wrath is not to be dismissed, but neither are we. The queer love and all the peculiar power of those who find and cherish each other, materially, affectionately, relentlessly.
To Have Without Holding by Marge Piercy. Learning to love differently is hard. Love with the hands wide open, love with the doors banging on their hinges, the cupboard unlocked, the wind roaring and whimpering in the rooms, rustling the sheets and snapping the blinds that thwack like rubber bands in an open palm. It hurts to love wide open, stretching the muscles that feel as if they are made of wet plaster, then of blunt knives, then of sharp knives. It hurts to thwart the reflexes of grab, of clutch, to love and let go again and again. It pesters to remember the lover who is not in the bed, to hold back what is owed to the work that gutters like a candle in a cave without air, to love consciously, conscientiously, concretely, constructively. I can't do it, you say. It's killing me. But you thrive. You glow on the street like a neon raspberry. You float and sail like a helium balloon, bright bachelor's button blue and bobbing on the cold and hot winds of our breath, as we make and unmake in passionate diastole and systole the rhythm of our unbound bonding, to have and not to hold, to love with minimized malice, hunger and anger, moment by moment, balanced.
Thanks, Chloe. Now, I feel I should issue a disclaimer before I get into my sermon. This might be a relief for some and a disappointment for others. As I asked Sarah to warn everybody last week, despite the title Free Love, this sermon is not going to be as racy as you might have anticipated. I'm not talking about free love in the euphemistic 1960s sense of sexual liberation and orgiastic revelries, though by all means go for it in your own time, if you've got the stamina and the full consent of everybody involved. Instead, I want to start by framing our exploration of love as a profoundly religious question. We speak so much of love in the church and indeed in the wider culture. The word love is used in so many different ways and contexts that it seems imprecise and confusing. Some years ago, 9 years ago, I think, I wrote my little dissertation on the subject of models of God and the meaning of love. I think there's still a copy down in the church library if anyone wants to look. And I opened this dissertation with a biblical quote from the first epistle of John. Beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. And even if you're unfamiliar with the scripture, you're probably familiar with that notion. God is love. I'm not going to try and get the gist of the whole dissertation into this sermon. You'll be relieved. It's just a stop along the way. But the key point for me was that love is the centre and foundation of our human search for meaning, purpose, and value in this life. And that somehow our symbolic religious language interweaves with our practice of love, with the two supporting and reinforcing each other. The philosopher Keith Ward has said this: we should not think of the word God as referring to any sort of being. To make such an assertion as God is love is perhaps to have discerned in our lived experience of loving and being loved by others something worth our ultimate commitment. By this, I think he means that often our experience of loving and being loved is a way in which we humans first intuit that there is a transcendent dimension to life. There's something more, and that this dimension may be known by love in all its many forms. I'm just going to share the conclusion of my dissertation so you get a sense of where I ended up. Many religious people employ religious language and God talk in particular as a symbolic way of affirming and cultivating that which is most worthy of our ultimate commitment in this life. God is love in that sense means real, authentic, transforming love in all its many and varied expressions is of supreme worth. And as such, it offers a guiding principle for life and a glimpse of the underlying nature of reality. And I closed with a very short quote from the theologian Edward Vacek, who said, "Love is the heart of a person, the font of spirit, the power leading to growth, the bond tying human beings, the world, and God into cosmic unity. So that's just the backdrop for this morning's exploration. Love is, for many of us, a primary source of meaning, value, purpose, and depth in this life. And for some of us, it's how we come to know God. One way or another, for many of us, love is our ultimate concern. If that's the case, then, and this is the premise of this morning's service, perhaps we're called to love ever more freely, more generously, more exuberantly in our short time here on earth. To broaden our sense of what love might look like in practice and the shapes that loving relationships can take, liberating them from unnecessary convention and constraint, and also to be freer in our expressions of love, to be more ready to name and affirm it where we find it. So what comes to mind when you think about love? Maybe by default, we picture the sort of love that's portrayed in pop songs or in novels or on the big screen, a certain sort of love story, romantic, passionate, dramatic. That tends to be held up as the ideal. Or perhaps the associations that come up for you are more grounded in your own real-life experiences of love as you have known it. And these real-life experiences might be more varied and more complicated than what is typically portrayed in the culture. Now, in the Better World Book Club last year, we did read a book called The Other Significant Others, which showed that significant loving relationships can take all sorts of different forms. In previous Valentine's services, we've talked about all the Greek names for different varieties of love: eros, agape, philia, pragma, and all the rest. But really, there are as many forms of love as there are combinations of people. We don't have to follow the limited social scripts that the culture lays out for us. Each encounter between two souls is its own unique and precious thing, alive with possibility if we can remain open to its unfolding. If we're fixated on a certain image, a certain ideal of how love has to be, we might miss those opportunities to love and be loved that are right there in front of us. I included a quote from the feminist theologian Tara Harewood on the front of today's order of service, and it was in Friday's email as well. I think what she says is important as it frames love in the broadest terms. It doesn't limit love to any one particular flavour or expression, and it also doesn't hold back in affirming love's centrality, vitality, necessity. Harewood says, love does not just happen. Love is a choice, not simply or necessarily a rational choice, but rather a willingness to be present to others without pretense or guile. Love is a conversion to humanity, a willingness to participate with others in the healing of a broken world. Love is the choice to experience life as a member of the human family and a partner in the dance of life. That reading we heard earlier from David by the UU minister Vanessa Rush Southern in praise of the romantic actually praises both the romantic and the pragmatic, both and. She rightly lifts up the romantic vision, saying, in her headlong tumble, the romantic comes to see the divine in each of us, and as such, that we are all deserving of the wildest and most profound adoration. Yes. And at the same time, she acknowledges that mature, lasting love can be hard work, as it requires the ongoing devotion to the flourishing of another, all that everyday maintenance, all those small acts of connection and caring, which can be quite mundane, but which can cumulatively add up to something very meaningful. I wonder how many of you are familiar with the wonderful U.A. Fanthorpe poem, Atlas, which speaks of this with its opening line, there is a kind of love called maintenance, which stores the WD-40 and knows when to use it. I recently read something from the therapist and author Terry Real, which resonates with this pragmatic view. He says, we grow up thinking love is a feeling, but real love, lasting love, is a practice. It's not built on how you feel in any one moment. It's built on what you choose to do. That choice often shows up in small, ordinary moments. You take a breath instead of snapping. You reach for your partner instead of retreating. You say, that didn't come out right. Let me try again. These are not grand gestures. They wouldn't make for a good movie script, but they matter more than you think. Because every time you choose connection, you are building trust. Every time you stay in the room with an open heart, You are practicing intimacy. And every time you repair, even just a little, you remind each other, we can do this. And that's true intimacy. Words on the more pragmatic side of love from Terry Real. That poem we heard by Marge Piercy that Chloe read for us, To Have Without Holding, this paints another picture of love entirely, one which illuminates both the profound challenge and the profoundly transformative potential of authentic love between human beings who remain free. She says, learning to love differently is hard. It hurts to love wide open, to love consciously, conscientiously, concretely, constructively. I think the poem gestures towards an idealized image of a love in which each partner remains grounded in themselves, their own person, free and freely choosing to love another without possessing them. It reminds me of the sort of love that proponents of relationship anarchy talk about, where each person approaches every encounter with an open curiosity about what form this relationship might take, rather than forcing it to fit a particular box. Each connection is its own thing. In relationship anarchy, you would expect to have multiple loving connections with friends as well as lovers, rather than focusing on one to the detriment or exclusion of all others. That's not to say that all our loving connections are or should be equally significant. Inevitably, we will prioritise some over others, as it takes time to do all that maintenance, to grow in intimacy, to know and be known, to tend to a sense of security and comfort that will last. Love is all wrapped up with bonding and attachment. Yet it seems crucial that we never lose sight of the essential wildness of the other. Lover and beloved must know themselves to be both deeply connected and ultimately free. Recently, I was talking to my dear friend Chris, who knows a lot about love, mainly because she's a wonderful and big-hearted human being, but she also has the professional credentials to back it up. She's an associate professor of psychology who specialises in intimate relationships. We were talking about what it means to say we love someone. This pointed me towards an article by someone called Cassie Blanton, who says this: the truth about love is it happens a lot. We have a mythology surrounding love that says it's a special, rare feeling reserved for just a few people in your whole life. It says that love takes time to develop and that the feelings you experience at the onset of a relationship are not love, but something else, infatuation or a crush. We tend to round some feelings up to love, i.e. when you first meet the person that you later married, and others down to not love, i.e. your weekend fling with a Spanish dancer. The thing is, those experiences feel remarkably similar from the inside, she says. Instead of trying to deny it or ignore it or call it something different in each different situation, I want to call it like I feel it. I fall in love all the time, she says. And really, it's no big deal. It's kind of fun once you get used to it. She continues, imagine if you could say, I love you. It's no big deal. It doesn't mean you're the one. It doesn't even mean you have to love me back. It doesn't mean that we have to date or marry or even cuddle. It doesn't mean we have to part ways dramatically in a flurry of tears and broken dishes. It doesn't mean I love you till I die or even that I'll still love you next year. And then later, you could tackle the question of whether there's anything to do about it. All of the aforementioned, dating, marriage, cuddling, they are options. And there are an infinite number of other options. You could choose to sail around the world together. These are all things you can now choose or not choose as two conscious adult human beings. The important distinction is that none of them is necessarily implied just by saying the word love. Some intriguing thoughts on love from the singer-songwriter Cassie Blanton. Now, there are things in her article that resonate for me and things that really do not. And I imagine our responses to what you've just heard will vary wildly. I think she makes a compelling case for being free with our love, not being stingy with it, not holding back. The one thing I took umbrage with was her statement, I love you, it's no big deal. I love you is a big deal. Surely it matters. I do get where she's coming from. She means I love you isn't a big deal in the sense that it doesn't have to be rationed too much. It doesn't have to be something we only bring out for special heightened occasions. And crucially, it doesn't have to be freighted with a whole bunch of heavy expectations about what it implies. We very probably won't mean precisely the same thing by it every time we say it. And like she said, every pair of people in love get to decide what, if anything, they want to do about it. But those words, I love you, they do mean something. It can feel so good to say it and to hear it. So perhaps we can take her encouragement to be freer in naming and expressing love in a wider range of connections than we might generally be accustomed to. Around the same time, I came across another article by Shankar Sapram, which takes a rather interesting angle that I love you is a kind of mantra. He says, a soul deep I love you isn't just a string of words. It's a mantra, not a tool, not a trick. It's a quiet ritual that heals and anchors and connects. When spoken with intent, it doesn't demand anything in return. It simply gives. It flows without expecting. That's where its power lies. He writes a bit more about how the expression of love can sometimes feel transactional. And in particular, he says, people can often hear, I love you, and reflexively think, what do you want from me? His remedy, to undo that damage, make it a habit to say it. Not when you want something, but when you feel nothing in particular. Say it when you're bored, when you're scrolling, when your mind is blank and your heart feels dull. Pick up your phone, call them and say it. Just that, I love you. Let it sound like a heartbeat, not a strategy. In time, it becomes a small ritual that waters your bond without you even realizing it. Be the first one to say it. Be the only one if needed. Love is not a transaction, it's a flow. Words from Shankar Sapram. So where does this leave us? We're never going to exhaustively explore a subject as big as love, I don't think, so expect us to return to this in the months and years to come. But perhaps we can come back to this notion that love is the centre and foundation of our lives and our faith, and maybe even that loving is the primary means by which we might know God. And so let us free love from convention and constraint. Let's be open to love in all its forms. In this world of so much suffering and harshness, it seems ever more vital to love exuberantly, extravagantly, abundantly and freely and imperfectly while we still can. So I want to close this reflection with just a few words which call us back to love's sacred centrality, an excerpt from a longer piece called When I Speak of Love by the UU minister Dan Schatz. When I speak of love, I mean nothing more or less than opening to what is sacred in all of us, even when it is broken, even when it is hidden, even when it's inconvenient. This love transforms and illumines my heart. This love shapes my living. This love demands better of me always. This love brings me home when I have lost my way. So when I speak of love, please do not shake your head or smile in condescension. Instead, listen to your soul's own longing, and together let us speak of love. Amen. One last hymn. This is also on your hymn sheet. For reasons I don't understand, it's printed upside down. Maybe there's some symbolism in that. Now we sing to praise love's blessing. Just a few announcements then. Thanks to Ramona for tech hosting, Charlotte for hosting online. Thanks to Tara and Jess for lovely music. To George for accompanying our singing and Ben supporting our singing. Thanks to David and Chloe for reading. Thanks to John for greeting and Pat and Anna who are off to put the kettle on. If you're here in person, do stay for cake. We've got Victoria sponge or pear and ginger this week. If you're online, please stay for a chat with Charlotte. 12:30 back here in the church. Hannah will be leading community yoga. All are welcome. If you haven't done it before, have a word with Hannah so you can fill in the health questionnaire. Tonight and Friday at 7, we've got our Heart and Soul Contemplative Spiritual Gathering online. This week our theme is tenderness. You're very welcome to join, even if you've never been before. Just drop me an email and I will send you the link for that. Looking further ahead, we've got the Better World Book Club on the 22nd when we're reading What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat by fat liberation activist Audrey Gordon. I think all our loan copies have gone, but if you want to come and you wouldn't otherwise be able to access a copy, let me know and we'll help you out. Do let me know if you're planning to join us. Looking even further ahead, we've got a couple of events in March that you can add to your diary. Having failed to get to Rainham Marshes this week, we had a very nice day out anyway. We're going to try again for a spring walk on Thursday the 12th of March. So let me know if you want to join us for that. And we're going to have another Labyrinth mini retreat for the spring equinox on Sunday the 22nd. That's after the service in the afternoon. Next Sunday we'll be back here at 11 when our service, looking ahead to the season of Lent, will be on the theme of temptation. And after that we'll have our craft-a-noon. Bring along your own craft project, rummage with the colouring materials, or a few of us will be doing felt making. You're welcome to join in. That's from 1 to 3 next Sunday. All this is on the back of your order of service. It's in the Friday email. We've very much got a life beyond Sunday mornings. We encourage you to keep in touch, look out for each other and do what you can to nurture those supportive connections. So just time for our closing words and closing music now. We ground ourselves in our highest values. Love is the centre and foundation of this faith. Love is the power that holds us together as a community. So let us open our hearts perpetually to the healing power of liberated and liberating love. Love is not only something we receive, but something we practice in community. So let fall away all that might distract us from the wholehearted spiritual discipline of love. And as we move out into the world once again, may we continue to listen and learn to act and grow. And may each of us unfold in wholeness, both deeply loving and deeply loved. And may that be so for the greater good of all. Amen.